Hola, ¿cómo estás? We're going to continue working with what I call the last unit of the Spanish Ab Initio syllabus, that is called Sharing the Planet or Compartir el Planeta or Cómo Compartimos el Planeta, depending on how your book-teacher translates this, right? As always, I'm going to start explaining how the internal assessment works, and then we're going to take a look at two possible examples of images for the internal assessment. So, the internal assessment in Spanish Ab Initio is an activity that will take you around 25 minutes, right? 15 minutes of those are going to be prep time, and then you're going to have part of a solo speech and then some discussion with your teacher between 7 and 10 minutes. These are audio recordings, so you have to be as clear as possible when you are talking, yes. As you know, or if you don't know, I tell you, you're going to receive two images. They are going to be only images, or they may have some basic writing. Yes, in some cases, we have seen one example, I think, in the past about an ad that included some basic writing. So you're going to get two images, you're going to choose one, you're going to take it to the back of the room or to wherever your teacher tells you that you have to be preparing. It's going to be a supervised preparation, and you can have a notebook and a pen to take notes. I strongly suggest that you do take notes, because when the exam starts, you're going to be speaking solo, right? So you have to have as much vocabulary, as many ideas, as many details, etc., as possible, right? So the first thing that I'm going to do when I start talking, and this has to be like your preparation, let's say, routine or protocol, right? First, I describe what I see as much as possible, yes? If you don't know a lot of vocabulary about what's happening in the image, well, first, remember that you have another one to choose from. But if you can't, right, at least you're going to be able to describe colors, or if it's a landscape, you're going to talk a little bit about weather, hopefully. Or if you have people in the images, you can talk about personal attributes, so on and so forth, right? We are going to have first, again, a description. You're going to tell the examiner, that is to say your teacher, what unit that this image links with. That is, of course, for you to decide. All images can be linked with any of the units of the syllabus because they're all intertwined. Nevertheless, in many occasions, teachers have some kind of agreement with, like, they narrow down the possibilities of these images when you start the exam, right? So they may tell you that the focus will be compartir el planeta and ingenio humano, or what have you. It doesn't matter, because in the end, they're going to change the topic, and you'll have to talk about another unit, right? So imagine that you get one that is about compartir el planeta, that those are the ones that we're going to start focusing on. But again, if you want to talk about another unit, that is absolutely possible. Then you're going to link it with some Spanish-speaking world topic, or some event, or some contents that you have studied, right, that links directly with the Spanish-speaking world. And then you're going to give your opinion on the matter. Like, do you like what's happening? Would you like to be a part of this? Yes, no, why, etc. How does this compare to things that happen in your country, in your community? Yes. Don't worry if you don't have much to say about that, because the solo presentation is of about 2 minutes. So it is 2 minutes, but it's not 15 minutes that you have to be talking by yourself. The teacher's questions will steer you in the interpretation of the image, right? You're going to have further discussion on the image and the contents of that particular unit. And later on, this for 3 or 4 minutes, and the last part of the internal assessment will be a discussion about another unit. So your teacher may tell you, okay, fine with compartir el planeta, let's move on to experiencias, right? They may ask you a question and you will have to answer, yes? It's very important that you practice as much as possible. At least if you don't have anyone to talk to in Spanish, try to listen to people talking in Spanish. Put on some, I don't know, movie maybe, or series or whatnot, right, that you know. Put it with the dubbing in Spanish, so you know what's happening, because you know the series or the movie, but try to listen to people talking. Yes, this is important. This is Well, it depends on what's your mother tongue, right? But Spanish is not an easy language. It's actually demanding. So I start with image 1. Yes, of course, we have here a beach with a lot of trash, right? Basura. See, of course, this is talking about pollution. This is talking about environmental problems, right? What we see here is people not thinking about sustainability, people not thinking about the importance of el medio ambiente, el clima, proteger el planeta, right? So one of the things that we should talk about could be, of course, describe this beach where the little stones of the beach are kind of mixed up with cans, bottles, and whatnot, right? You could think about, or you could talk about what are the dangers that this entitled for our planet, for our health, what are the most pressing, like, global commons issues that we're facing currently as a world. So this one should be easy in the sense that what you could talk about is maybe, again, cans, bottles, plastic, glass, the difficulties of cleaning a beach, whether you are part of maybe some organization group, civil community group that does some eco activities, right? Maybe you've done some CAS activities related to environment, or maybe you're doing ESS and you can throw in what you know about ESS and protecting the world, basically. You can think about how bad trash is for animals, for people, for the water, etc. If you know a little bit more, for example, the other day I was reading the fact that there are some kind of deep underwater kind of stones or rocks, right, that have already been, like, they are kind of they have plastic ingrown, as if it was kind of a new material, right? Because there's so much plastic in the ocean, deep down in the ocean, that rocks are kind of mixing their own, like, rocky material with that, with all the dangers that presents to our present and future. So think about how does it compare to the place where you live. Are there any, for example, is there any kind of, like, stronger ecological consciousness where you live? What happens in the beach when you go to the beach? If you live in a place where you have a beach, are there any controls? Like, are people conscious about this? Do they clean the beach, or do they clean after themselves? For example, where I live in a place where there is a beach, and, for example, there is a very strong emphasis on people not smoking in the beach, right? Not only because it is disgusting, well, I hate smoking, right? Anyway, not only because it's like secondhand smoking, it has a health problem for everyone surrounding these people, but also because of the trash, right? Because they throw the leftovers of their cigarettes on the sand, and that, of course, is bad. So those are topics that you could talk about, and you could also link it with, for example, NGOs, right? ONGs, organizaciones no gubernamentales, that are in charge of thinking for the world in these terms, right? If you're doing, or well, not only the NGOs, right? If you're doing global politics, maybe you can think about the Paris Agreement, you can think about Greenpeace, or you can think about other IGOs and NGOs that try to fend for the well-being of our world and prevent global warming. That Paris Agreement is not aging well, but you know what I mean, right? So this could be something that could help you for your internal assessment in Compartir el Planeta. It's very likely that if you're going to get Compartir el Planeta, the main topic will be environment, right? Second possible image, or of course, out of countless possible images that your teacher may give you. Bien. Segunda imagen. What we see here, of course, is one of the items of Compartir el Planeta, that is global issues. And obviously what we have here is a heart-wrenching image of people trying to help other people, right? We see people with this kind of, this red t-shirts, or I don't know, or vests, right? That are probably from an NGO. And we also see the life vests los salvavidas that are being given to these people that are trying to cross the water. They're also giving them neumáticos, okay? Kind of this, again, no, they're not neumáticos. They are also lifesavers, the black things, right? In order to try to swim into the shore, yes? And this can, of course, speak about the current migration crisis that we have all over the world, right? Especially when we think about Spanish-speaking countries and we think about the sea, of course, we will have to go to the Mediterranean coast, right? Especially with Spain. You know that in the EU, there is a massive problem because all the countries in the EU have agreed on protocols for treating illegal migration, but of course the countries that are that have coasts on the Mediterranean have complained more because they say, okay, fine, you are in, I don't know, France or Germany and whatnot, right? But the ones that are doing the real heavy lifting with migrants trying to cross the Mediterranean are Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, etc., right? And that is not egalitarian. That's not fair, right? So you could talk about that. You could talk first for the description. You could talk about the amount of people that we see here, the possible problems that these people may have at home in order to venture this very dangerous crossing of the Mediterranean. You may want to talk about the ways in which people organize themselves, try to help these people. Yes, these are clearly people from NGOs trying to help them. This is not something that governments do because of many reasons, right? If you know things or if you are more, well, you could talk about being a migrant in general later on for the interpretation. In our course, we have one activity that deals with different reasons for going from one place to the other, reasons for leaving your country. This clearly is a very extreme and desperate story about migration, because if you're going to risk your life, it's because you are like fully desperate, right? And you can't live in your country anymore for different possible reasons. You could talk about what migrants have as problems when they arrive into the new countries. What problems do they have in terms of paperwork, in terms of language, in terms of getting a job, a place to live, discrimination, so on and so forth. If you're a migrant yourself in the place that you are studying, you could talk about your own experience, that I'm sure it's very different from this, but still it is a migrant's experience that could even be compared, right, to the situation that these people are enduring. You could talk about NGOs, or again, ONGs, organizaciones no gubernamentales, that do an effort, that try to help these people that are coming to other countries, both in terms of like legal paperwork, giving them food and whatnot, right? And you could talk about this being a global issue because migrants go from everywhere to everywhere. You could even talk about, for example, the massive amount of people from Latin America trying to move into Europe, right? And the difficulties and the problems that this entails. If you know a little bit about world politics, you could even speak about how, in general, we're currently seeing a turn to the right and a turn to people voting for more, let's say, iron fist against migrants. Think about, you can express your opinion on that, think about why that may be the case. And of course, if nothing works with that, first of all, as I said, choose the other image, but think about, even you can think about whether you can think about why does this look like a difficult or dangerous venture if it looks as if we have kind of a pool kind of waters and these mountains at the end. Think about colors, think about maybe age groups of the people that you see there, the way that what do they have on, right? The way they look. Remember that those things about personal attributes, even though in an image like this may look as very superficial, it's not wrong, right? You use the vocabulary that you have first to describe what you see. Yes. So, well, those are possible ideas. Again, try to compare it with your own experience or with the experience of people that you know that are around you that maybe also migrated, of course, in different conditions. And basically, those could be alternatives, right? To think about these images. Internal assessments, you can start practicing or thinking about at least descriptions and link with a unit of the course with practically everything, right? Whatever you're looking at, whatever you, I don't know, things that you like to watch on TV, on social media, or maybe you read about things, right? And you can think about an image that you could later on describe. Anything can be used for practice. So good luck. See you. Thank you very much.